iilluminaughtii has recently been accused of some pretty bad things, like allegedly backstabbing friends, spreading lies about people, and spearheading smear campaigns. And although she's responded to all of these allegations and tried to paint herself in a pretty good light, things seem to just get worse for her. We recently did look at some of the controversies surrounding iilluminaughtii, and in that video I tried to give a brief overview of what's going on currently with LegalEagle, the Click, Wonderstruck, so on. But some of you pointed out that in doing that I may have left out some key information, which admittedly probably wasn't a good choice. For that video, it probably wasn't the best idea just to give a brief overview of some of the events. So we're going to be looking at iilluminaughtii's entire history of controversy, which of course will include Wonderstruck's response video, which we didn't cover in the last video because it wasn't out yet. As we already know, this whole story started when iilluminaughtii accused LegalEagle of plagiarizing her, because an editor for LegalEagle reached out to iilluminaughtii's team to find out what plugin they were using to do some certain effects. And she took it a step further and said that LegalEagle had been copying two effects that she uses in her videos, which was a torn paper texture and a highlighting effect on words, which LegalEagle pointed out that he had been using for many years. And though we can't say that it's connected, after this, iilluminaughtii deleted this post and later said that she and LegalEagle had made amends and that she realised this was not plagiarism after all, she just responded too quickly. And with that, they've made amends. We can let that story die. But it does paint a picture of somebody who's very reactionary and very hot-headed, and of somebody who isn't afraid to accuse others with little evidence. And former friends of hers seem to feel the same way. Because after this all took place, former members of a group called Sad Milk, which included iilluminaughtii, came forward to say that she has always acted this way. The Click, Wonderstruck, OneTopic, and OzMedia all came forward with their own stories about her, and all of them seemed pretty bad. These were all in the form of Twitter threads, but the main threads that people seemed to be focusing on were the ones by the Click and Wonderstruck. In the Click's thread, he said that iilluminaughtii would often lash out at people and turn on friends on a dime. He said that she had poor anger management skills, and overall that she just treated people badly, which became the reason why he and other members left Sad Milk, pointing to the catalyst of it all being a call that they all had to discuss the future of the channel, during which time she apparently screamed at him for half an hour and called him a bunch of names. And after this, he says that she would commit petty acts of revenge, like deleting comments from the Sad Milk channel that talked positively about him, while leaving comments that said they were glad he left, making it look like people had more hatred for him than they did. Also vague posting about him, potentially trying to dig up dirt on him, and trying to take control of his Discord server. In iilluminaughtii's response video though, she paints a terrible picture of the Click, saying that there was a 19-year-old in his Discord server who was bragging about being with a 12-year-old and that the Click did nothing to stop this despite the fact that she had tried to reach out to him multiple times. This makes him look really terrible and really negligent, and potentially even complicit. But in the Click's video, he says that this wasn't the case. He was asleep when this message from the 19-year-old was sent, and it was deleted and the user banned while he was asleep at 2:14 AM. And according to him, iilluminaughtii didn't even reach out to him to try and sort this out, and that was a lie. So why did she try to make him look so terrible? Well, according to the Click, this is a pattern of behaviour for her, and that this is not the first time that she tried to make him look bad. He believes that she has been running a smear campaign against him since he left Sad Milk, showing receipts that seem to point to Blair paying people to dig up dirt on him, and trying to dig up videos of him saying the R word when he was a teenager, something which as an adult he has owned up to and has apologised for, and potentially trying to make it seem like he's still saying these things to this day. Worst of all, he shows receipts of Blair's alleged alt account, and although this is alleged, it does seem pretty damning. This was an account that she allegedly used to harass and smear former members of Sad Milk. I don't know what kind of person would go to such lengths to do this to former friends and colleagues. It's horrible, immature, and vindictive behaviour, especially when you look at the fact that if this was the case, iilluminaughtii was trying to associate the Click with horrible accusations involving minors just to smear him. It is truly horrific. And one thing that Wonderstruck pointed out in his response video is that if Blair did have documented evidence of something terrible going on, which she claims to have, Why did she wait 3 years to come forward? Is that not negligent, especially when you have such a huge audience and could make a difference if something terrible like this was going on? And why only share it on an alt account, unless you know that it's not true? And he also points out a time that iilluminaughtii contradicted herself by first saying that she didn't know about the Click saying the R word, and that she would have ended their friendship sooner if she had known, but then later says it didn't come as a shock to her because her and OzMedia had discussed how he'd say it when they played games together.
A very convenient series of videos resurfaced with him saying some not-so-savory things after he left Sad Milk. I was actually unaware of those videos at the time of our friendship, but had I been aware of them, that friendship would have likely ended sooner. When those videos surfaced, it wasn't really all that shocking to me, as OzMedia and I had actually talked about how Click had been using the R slur while we played games together.
So which one is it? So let's get to Wonderstruck's statements and the things that Blair said about him. Firstly, about this call that the Click was talking about where he said that Blair had screamed at him for half an hour. iilluminaughti's version of events was that all she had said was, "Can you let me speak for a minute?" because everybody was talking over her. And both the Click and Wonderstruck say that this isn't the case, with Wonderstruck saying that she was really irritable during this call and raising tensions when she didn't need to. And speaking of this call, the whole reason iilluminaughtii said that this was happening was because she wasn't happy with the channel. She felt like she wasn't getting any help with it, and that she was doing everything and paying for everything. In her video, she says that they were all responsible for paying the editors. They all had to pay an equal share. But a lot of the time, people would not pay, and that it was just simply left to her. But Wonder shares receipts, at least from his side, showing that this was not the case. Moving on from that, there was a very important part of Wonder's thread which people seem to be focusing on, and that is the Christmas video for Sad Milk. In his thread, Wonder says that he had to miss Christmas with his father and his brother to work on editing a video for the Sad Milk channel, which was supposed to go out on Christmas Eve. In iilluminaughti's video, she says that she never asked him to do this, and she doesn't understand how he possibly could have missed Christmas when the video went out a day before Christmas. But Wonder does give us more insight into this. If you don't know, ad revenue on YouTube is generally higher in December because more advertisers are paying more money because they want people to buy Christmas presents. And I'm just a little bit salty because this is the case for everybody that I've ever talked to or seen talk about this, but it is not the case for me. In fact, December seems to always be my absolute worst month for ad revenue. So I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe they've decided that I'm not very Christmas friendly. Regardless though, this is not about me, and this ad revenue was the case for Wonder. He was a small creator and was working full-time on YouTube, so he was pumping out videos and trying to get as much ad revenue as possible while still creating good content. He had pulled an all-nighter to get a video out on his channel on the 19th of December. And after all this was going on, Sad Milk were waiting to see what was happening with their Christmas Eve video. It had been sent to a new editor, and iilluminaughtii had apparently never checked in with the editor to see how things were going. When this editor sent the video over, it was just bad. There's no other way to say it, it was just bad. Wonder didn't want the video to be scrapped because a lot of money had been spent on it, and they'd even all flown to Colorado together to film it in person. And he also just didn't want to post a bad video because the audience wouldn't like it. And he points out very importantly that although Blair did not ask him to do this, she had made it very clear that she felt like she didn't have any help from any of the other members. So he did an all-nighter again to get this video ready for Christmas Eve. And after this he was so tired and his sleep schedule was so screwed that he slept through until the afternoon of Christmas. So you could argue that no, this was not iilluminaughti's fault. She didn't say that he had to do this. However, she didn't check in with the editor that she hired. And she had made a work environment where she had made it clear that she felt like she was the only one doing anything to make the channel work. And after this portion, he does show receipts to show that he was often paid late. But this is where we get into the deeper aspects of the story and where things start to get quite sad. Wonder apparently wasn't too happy with his life in Austin. Although iilluminaughtii did try to paint this as him saying that he hated everybody and his roommates were awful and everything was terrible. Wonder says that this isn't the case. He only had one roommate who is still to this day his best friend, but he just wasn't the happiest with his life there. iilluminaughtii had already wanted to get into real estate. She wanted to be a landlord. And she may have seen this as an opportunity because she discussed with Wonder that he should move to Colorado. She was planning to build homes for 3 other members of Sad Milk and rent it to them. This is something that iilluminaughti completely left out of her video, and all that she says is that Wonder had lived with her and OzMedia in Colorado rent-free. And this is the case, he did technically live in their home in Colorado rent-free. But that is because he was supposed to move into this new home that she was building to rent to him to be his landlord in August. And when he had a month left before moving and he had already finalized the ending of the lease, she informed him that it was delayed and going to be pushed back to December, and that he could stay with them for the time being. This is something he expressed that he was deeply uncomfortable with because he did not want to feel like a burden. So the entire time he was there, he tried to help them in any way he could and tried to find work to do. iilluminaughti had also become his employer at this time. And this is something that she talks about in her video. She says that she gave him a salary of $50,000 a year, plus some very generous benefits, which she points out that he never used. And then she also said that he had never met deadlines, but she decided to keep him on the payroll anyway. However, he had continuously not met deadlines and had said inappropriate things in a work chat, and this was grounds for termination, so she terminated his employment. Again though, this is another case of this not seeming to be the truth. Because with receipts, he says that he was fired before the deadline even came up. He was fired at the end of July, his deadline was August 2nd. According to him, the reason that he was delayed was because his editing software corrupted, and so he flew himself from Colorado to Austin to get his old computer from his dad so that he could edit on that and get the work done. But once he got to editing this video, he found he'd been locked out of the files and fired. And what about that inappropriate comment? Well, he'd never heard about it. Nobody had said anything to him about it. And he found out from OzMedia what it may have been.
As for the inappropriate comment I made on a forum, I have never heard of this. Blair claims to have a strict policy on discipline, yet why didn't she or her staff ever reach out to me about this problem? Why does she not provide evidence on this comment, and what forum? So I reached out to Oz and I found the answer, and the comment I made was supposed to be grounds for termination. I'd like to reiterate that means a total loss of income to a person. This was along the lines of the comment that I made. If I could be an animal for a day, I would be a furry, and my favorite food would be ass. You can't make this up, man. Total loss of income because I said as a joke, I said I was a furry.
And personally, I don't think it's an appropriate comment to be making in a work chat, but it's not a fireable offense, and nobody ever said anything to him about it. In situations like this, I think the best course of action is to talk to the person, tell them that they can't say things like that in work chats, and then they won't do it again. It's not something you fire somebody over. Not to mention the fact that he was fired before his deadline was due, but we were all told that he never met the deadlines. How could he? He didn't work there anymore. And he'd never even used the benefits that iilluminaughti was talking about because he only worked there for 60 days. What benefits is he gonna use in 60 days? Before all this had happened though, and before he was fired, iilluminaughti decided to help him to buy a new car, and a very expensive car at that, a BMW. He didn't want that expensive of a car, but eventually she convinced him that it was a good idea. They were taking out a loan for the car together, but he never saw the paperwork and he had no idea of the process of this. But let's jump ahead to later on, after everything went wrong. Eventually he spoke to iilluminaughti because he felt like he was a burden in that home with her and OzMedia at all times. And she told him that he needed to leave immediately. Before he left, she had him sign the BMW contract. And not knowing where to go, he went to visit his father for a while. Very soon after this, on the 28th of July, OzMedia and Wonderstruck had a conversation. In it, Wonderstruck said that he wanted to move out of Colorado. He wasn't feeling like it was the best thing for him at the time. OzMedia also informed him that iilluminaughti wanted Wonderstruck to pay the depreciation value of the car. So, the agreement that they came to was that Wonderstruck would go to Colorado, sign the depreciation contract, and sign over the lease. And of course, leave the car. And because Wonder wanted to know what he was paying for and ensure that the depreciation value that he was agreeing to pay was correct, he asked to see everything that his name was tied to on the car, but this was never provided to him. Then, hours later, when Wonder was asleep, iilluminaughti texted him at 3 AM saying that she was in Texas and was repossessing the car, because apparently he had numerous contract violations. She took the car without speaking to him first, with all of his possessions inside of it. This included things like computer monitors, a drone, camera equipment, his PlayStation, and his YouTube play button. There was a lot of stuff in there. And apparently there wasn't even contract violations because the contract that he signed wasn't legally binding. She said that she would make arrangements to get this stuff to him, but he never heard about it again despite reaching out to her to try and make this happen, and even sending a legal demand for his items. And allegedly, according to OzMedia, she threw them in the bin. She threw his stuff, his very expensive stuff, in the bin. That is vindictive and inexcusable, and I'm pretty sure illegal? So yeah, he still hasn't gotten his stuff back. What makes this situation really scary is that Wonder's employment, housing, and car were all in the hands of iilluminaughti. And seemingly overnight, she just snatched them all from him and set his life back a lot. He gets very emotional about this when he talks about it, very understandably, and watching it I felt really bad for him. I had to pause the video and walk away for a while just because it was just such a terrible situation, and I can't understand why one human being would want to do that to another human being. This is definitely the biggest part of all the allegations that Wonder has made against iilluminaughti, but there is other stuff too. iilluminaughti had painted him as being negligent towards his dog, which doesn't seem to be the case at all. And in his Twitter thread, he had posted a picture of one room in iilluminaughti's house, showing how messy the entire house is. In her video, she said that this room was completely off limits because it was for boxing, and that it showed how disrespectful that Wonder was towards her and Oz. But once again, this just seems to be a time where she's allegedly just okay with lying and twisting the truth and trying to make people look really bad. Because that photo was taken when Wonder didn't even live there. It was a new mattress that hadn't been in the home until 2022, and this was corroborated by OzMedia, who in fact did take the picture. And while we're at it, let's talk about OzMedia for a bit. At the end of iilluminaughti's response video to all of this, she cries for a while talking about her relationship with OzMedia and how she's so sad that it's had to end this way. But OzMedia made an appearance in Wonderstruck's video, and he doesn't seem to be buying it. He says that he's seen her work up these tears on multiple occasions. These were times when she's had to have tough conversations with employees or with him, or even when she's had to have conversations with other creators that she's had problems with. Essentially, this is just manipulative behaviour to try and garner sympathy. He also says that this was a completely different tone than what she had had with him in private. But he didn't go into details about this because he wanted to keep it private. There is one more thing that we need to discuss about Wonder's video before we move on, and that is the stuff that iilluminaughti shared about his mental health. Now, in my original video, I didn't talk about this, and that was just for the reason that iilluminaughti had clearly shared very private details that weren't meant to be publicized, and I didn't feel that it was right for me to continue to publicize that to potentially more people when it might not be something that Wonderstruck would want out there. And he does speak about these events in his video. But again, I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to share this when it was originally shared without his consent, which is the only reason he's talking about it. So if you want the information on that, you can watch Wonder's video. Of course, it is shared in the description. The whole thing is timestamped, so you can find that section really easily, but you can also watch the whole video too if you want, just to get a full picture of the entire situation. It is his story to share, and I'm just not comfortable sharing it for him. If everything said by these creators is true, then it looks like iilluminaughti just treats former friends really badly and falls out with people very easily. But this behaviour is not limited to former members of Sad Milk. iilluminaughti has had really controversial encounters with other creators, like Nicholas Deorio, Thomas C, rslash, and Cruel World Happy Minds. It's just Happy Mind, it's just one mind. I've said her username 10 times in a row now. I can't say it again. That was the best take I got. I'm sorry. Let's look first at Cruel World Happy Minds because this is what I talked about in my previous video. But we have just a little bit of extra information that I didn't give in that video. Cruel World Happy Mind, whose name is Madison, which I'm going to say because I have such trouble saying her username, had made a video about Tyra Banks's failed MLM, which did really well at the time, especially considering that she had about 20,000 subscribers at the time. A little while after she made her video, iilluminaughti made a very similar video, and people had been reaching out to her saying that this may have been copied. So Madison reached out to Illuminaughti in a very nice and very kind message, saying that she just wasn't sure if this may have been copied and she'd like to talk about it. Illuminaughti never responded, but she did talk about this whole situation in a podcast, where she didn't name Madison, but belittled her and twisted the situation, saying that someone had come at her aggressively, saying that she had copied their video. Illuminaughti also allegedly shared false information and lied about Madison in her Instagram stories, saying something along the lines of, "I can't believe a creator messaged me accusing me of copying them," even though Madison had already made a video talking about this situation where she rectified things and said that you don't have ownership over a topic, and that just because Illuminaughti posted a similar video doesn't mean that it was copied. But she was new to this whole thing, and a lot of people were saying that this was the case, and all she wanted to do was reach out and talk to her. And she made another Instagram story saying that Madison was untrustworthy, that you shouldn't subscribe to her, and here are other people you should subscribe to, and also accused her of using sub-bots. They did have a very lengthy phone conversation after this to clear things up, and they came to an agreement, which was that Madison would have to cut out bits of her video that made Illuminaughti look bad, and Illuminaughti would not do a live stream about the situation, which she was planning to do. Essentially saying, "I won't destroy you in front of my much bigger sub count, as long as you don't say anything negative about me." But this is not the only situation where Illuminaughti had accused somebody of using sub-bots. This also happened with a creator called rslash. However, the thing is that he did jump from 2k to 350k subs really quickly, and that does kind of look suspicious. It's not necessarily the case that he was using sub-bots, but there is no way for me to take a stance on this when I have absolutely no idea. But people in my comments were flagging it, so it is worth mentioning. But there are some situations which we can get a fuller picture of, such as the falling out with Tommy C. This all happened in 2021, when Illuminaughti used to work on a news parody show on Tommy C's channel. But because she had such a big part in this show, she had admin control over Tommy C's channel, which essentially means that she can do anything on his channel that he can do. Upload videos, change details, even delete videos. Which is what ended up happening.
Illuminaughti deleted my videos over a fat joke. I didn't even tell the fat joke. Like, I have literally nothing to do with this. She had met up with Real Talk and some fans of mine and fans of hers too. I'm not going to sit there and, obviously she got 100,000 subs for a reason. And they met in Las Vegas. Her, one of my news team guys, Rico at the time, and they wanted to put me in a room. Real Talk was there and thank me. And so how they did it is we all went into the news chat room where all the other members were, and we kind of said hello, and I guess Rico said it, and for reasons that I'm not quite sure to this day, the vault kept repeating over and over again, "God, Rico, you're fat." And then that was kind of uncomfortable and funny, and Real Talk cackled as loud as he could. And then, like 5 minutes would pass, he would go, "Jesus, Rico, you're really, really fat." And it was, I gotta be honest with you, it was kind of uncomfortable.
Despite the fact that she had previously made fun of Tipster's mental health next to a picture of him with a hamburger for his face, she took offense to this. She messaged Tommy C saying they had moved separate ways and wished him all the best. But she sent this video after she had already gone into his channel and deleted any video which had her in it, without consulting him or even warning him, or even mentioning it in her goodbye message. And Tommy C had no way to recover these videos. It's a very reactionary response from Illuminaughti. Even though you could say that it was fair enough that she got offended by a fat joke, she should have at least talked to the owner of the channel before deleting videos from his channel. If she had admin control, that was because he trusted her, and she broke that trust. If she wanted videos with her deleted, she should have said it to him. And this is not the only situation where she has tried to take down content on other people's channels. Nicholas Deorio had posted a video which was criticizing Illuminaughti. And in that video there was a fan art somebody had made of her, used in the thumbnail. So Illuminaughti took it upon herself to message the artist and fan of hers, saying that a hate channel was using their art in the thumbnail and that they should probably copyright strike it. They did, and the video was taken down. Instead of false claiming a video herself, which could get her and her channel in trouble, She went with a middleman and got somebody else to do her dirty work for her because she didn't want to deal with the criticism. These are not the behaviours of a mature, level-headed person. And if it was just one scenario or one situation or one bad falling out, you could maybe brush it off as just somebody doing something wrong and hopefully they learn from their mistakes. But this all seems to be a pattern of behaviour. She seems to keep doing the same things over and over again. She seems to keep being petty and vindictive and all around just not the nicest person, and generally not being able to deal with any kind of criticism towards her. Maybe she wasn't wrong in every single situation, but there are far too many situations to just brush them off as just a coincidence. Now, since all of this has gone down, iilluminautti's channel has suffered. I mean, in fairness, her channel is fine, like she's not in any serious trouble. She has 1.5 million subscribers, but she's lost 130,000 subscribers after all of this began. And although her videos are still pulling in great views, when you compare them to her previous videos, you can see that there is a clear dip in viewership. So it looks like a lot of this stuff has finally caught up to her. And no, I don't believe in cancelling people and taking away their livelihoods. But if everything that is said about her is true, then hopefully all of this backlash that she's getting will make her reevaluate herself and the way that she behaves. Because nobody should be behaving that way. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that this extra information cleared things up, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Of course, there may have been some situations that I missed, but this is everything that I could find valid information on. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out a lot, and I really truly appreciate it if you do that. You can turn on notifications as well. Follow me on social media. I am VangelinaSkov everywhere, and I also have a Patreon under the same name. Like, comment, share, do all the things that I'm supposed to ask you to do at the end of a video. And most importantly, have an absolutely wonderful day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!